Hey everybody. The motor on my log splitter went bad, so I had to replace that. And I got me a Harbor Freight model and it worked out fine. So I had to make a mount for it because it was too wide to fit between the tire and the frame of the log splitter. So as you can see, I got some I had this iron already, the flat pieces, but I got some angle iron and I made a motor mount for it. So I just left some overhang at the back of the machine and I measured where the holes would be under the engine, and the side of the box shows you that. But at any rate, that thing was running. I put it together and it runs fine. It doesn't vibrate violently. It is well supported. I just want to show you what I did. So on the frame of the machine, I think I had to drill two extra holes, and I lined the iron up so that it would go under the four holes where the motor mounts on. So basically, I just had to do some measuring and some drilling. And you see, I made an adjustable um, leg right there, just in case I was on uneven ground or I had to move the machine. You can just spin this around and tighten it up, and that comes off the ground. So it's adjustable and it's stabilized. Here's a picture of the angle iron I got. The thickness is totally up to you. I recommend at least an eighth of an inch. Probably if I did it again, I would go thicker than that. But like I said, there's hardly any vibration. So the Harbor Freight model, um, it works, and it on the side of it, it tells you the measurements as far as where the holes will be located. So it's easy to determine where to put the holes. So all you're gonna need is a drill or maybe two different size bits. Because I started with a smaller hole and then I made it larger. And of course, the size of bolts are going to depend on the size of hole you make in the metal. Get a marker handy because it's easy to mark on the metal with the marker. And also, you're going to need a cutter. I had an old Harbor Freight cutter that I've been using for a while and it works fine. It had no trouble cutting through this metal at all. And you can also use that marker there to mark where you're going to drill the holes as well, because you want to drill the holes where they're supposed to be so everything lines up and you don't have to fight it or make the holes bigger later. So just take your time and measure it twice, cut once, drill once. And here's a little um underside view. So yes, I know I need to fix the tire. I know that. So if you look under the machine, that's the back of the machine, and you see I have the two pieces of flat iron running from the back to the front, and then I have my stopper there. You see the two flat pieces fit on the lip of that angle iron. You see, and then I drilled three holes there. I just put it through the middle hole because that's even. And then on the bottom, I took another piece of iron that I cut, and then I just put the nut and the bolt and washer through that way. And that keeps it nice and flat and stable. In fact, you can make that bottom piece wider. I think mine is like 5 inches. And as you can see, I drilled and made my holes about in the right spot so that I just had to put the bolts through the bottom of the base of the motor and just screw that down. So you see that piece there's about 9 inches, give or take, from top to bottom, and then that top cross piece is about 5 inches, and the bottom piece that's on the ground is about 5 inches. So I cut the pieces first. I drilled my holes, lined everything up. I assembled it, and then I took it apart, and then I painted everything with I think it was Rust-Oleum so it won't rust, so I could protect everything. So all in all, it's like 5 pieces of metal you have to deal with, and I didn't have to do any welding. You want to get galvanized nuts and bolts, stuff that's rated for outdoor use because it's gonna be sitting outside and you don't want it to rust. And really, it wasn't that difficult. But at the back of the machine, I recommend leaving about 6 inches overhang. And I guess it seems to balance it out to me. I would think it would balance the machine out a little bit better. And this is the front again. The flat pieces run from the back of the machine to the front, and there was no way I was gonna fit this motor between that wheel and the side of this machine. The old motor was smaller. So this is basically an oversized, physically oversized motor. And I didn't want to mess with the wheelbase or anything like that. So I decided to just bring the motor out towards the front and stabilize it. And I had to put it in a spot where I could still connect the motor to the pump and the coupler and everything. So I had to measure all of that and take that into consideration. And that's what I wound up doing. So you're gonna need 2, 4, 6, maybe like 8 to 10 sets of nuts and bolts. And again, this was no welding, and I ran it, and I've been splitting wood with it. It doesn't shake violently. It's not gonna rattle itself to pieces. Because you have that third arm on the front that really stabilizes it. And again, leave some overhang in the back, some extra weight in the back, and go right down the side of the machine and put your little braces in the front. And you could always take it apart or disassemble it. And with those 3 holes in that vertical piece, you can adjust the height. If you're on unlevel ground or unlevel surface or on a hill or something, you may have to adjust that. But the main thing was I needed something strong. I didn't want to mess with the wheel, and that motor was too big. Thanks. Like and subscribe. Good luck and God bless.